Hello.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. It's beautiful today.
Congratulations on your third season of the show.
Thank you.
Where would you say that Joanna has gone since the last season ended? Because there's a bit of time in between.
Yeah. You know, we're undecided on exactly how much time has passed since the end of season 2, but it's about a year or maybe a little bit more than that. Her life has changed dramatically. She's started a business of her own in partnership with Billy. They also live together. So there's been a bunch of change that enters into the season. There's a lot of pressure because they're going to trial with their first case as a company, and Joanna really needs to win that case. But in general, her life is the most happy that it's ever been, which is a precarious place for her.
Right. And I mean, it's safe to say that she's in a place though that also seems like she's the most, I don't want to say fragile, but she's certainly the most tested.
Yeah, she's definitely, I mean, she's taken a whole bunch of risks. She's decided to enter into a relationship, which is something she has not really done much in her life. She's decided to start her own business, which she knows is probably not the smartest move she's ever made. It's a more emotional move than an intelligent move. And she's going through a bunch of other stuff that will reveal itself as the season progresses. But she's feeling unsteady and very emotional, which I think for her, well, I know for her, is the most uncomfortable place to be. Emotions cloudy everything and make it harder to just do your job and do your job well, which is what she's always tried to do.
Well, in that moment when she steps out to take a moment, it really is, I mean, it's a bit surprising in the context of the show in some ways, because she's always so fierce and strong. So
yeah, she's feeling the resurgence of some anxiety issues, which is nice to see. There are things that trigger that you see in the first episode as you watch through it, as you know. But yeah, that kind of panic arises more for her this season. And
also the idea that she's wrestling with something very personal.
Yeah.
A couple things that are very personal, actually. Yeah. that I guess how long before we're going to see in this season some of those things come to light, I guess.
Well, we see so this isn't a secret, but the first episode, Joanna runs into an old friend of hers from childhood, and there's a mystery kind of surrounding what they went through together that takes the whole season to reveal itself. It's kind of a beautiful, haunting payoff. But because of the thing that happened between them, Joanna feels this deep connection to Cody and really wants to help her, even though it really is a losing case in every way. It's not going to make them money. So that kind of comes to fruition pretty quickly, but has a long payoff. The other stuff, it will take a little while to see how that manifests, but it's certainly, the themes of the season really revolve around, as we always look at on our show, which is intergenerational trauma, kind of how that manifests as your life moves forward, as you bring new people into the world, and how do you pass those things on to others.
Right. And as an executive producer, I know in one interview you said, that starting out, you were shocked how empty things started off in the very beginning. That you're kind of working with an empty space to kind of fill in. So when you're coming back on a third season, what was this season like to kind of now find the steps forward for her and for the whole cast? Yeah,
I mean, I guess you could look at that from a few different angles. From the writer's side of things, which is kind of where it all begins.
Right.
Bradley and Adam sit down and really look at cases. So they've got this great template for character, and you know how you can push your characters now. That part is set, which is fun. So then it's like, what are the cases that are going to best push these characters into the next emotional turbulence that they need to go through to grow? And then for me personally, it becomes easier and easier to delve into the world of Joanna, because not just have I built my own imaginary backstory, we've filmed so much that you can draw from. There's a history that exists on the screen that we've played. There are moments that I can remember that I've actually done with other actors. So that makes it really fun and a lot easier.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I guess seeing her at the end of the first episode kind of scramble as well with something new in terms of a legal standpoint is fascinating too, to see her kind of like, how do I deal with this now?
Yeah,
and I love her saying how unfair it is. I think that moment too, that obviously not all legal cases are treated the same, and to hear her speak up about how some things are so unfair.
Yeah, I think what's cool about this season, one of the things that's cool about the season is that we look at family law. And family law is completely different. And Joanna and Billy have no footing in family law. So just like most of the audience, they're learning as they go. And there are things that are shocking. Like, you can take people's kids without going to trial first. Like, you can just take them, which makes sense because if there's an immediate threat, you need to get those kids out of the house before there's a trial. But things like that are shocking. And it's a really tough, I mean, by many accounts, family law is one of the toughest fields to be in. And it's really depressing. Did
you do research?
Not a lot, but some. I mean, these family law cases are all over the place right now. You see a lot at the moment. And as we were shooting, crew members talked about how these things had happened to them that when they were kids. I had friends who were taken from their parents when they were kids too. So, it's something that if you ask around is not common, but more common than you would imagine.
Wow. Well, in terms of relationships, what are things like with Billy this season? In a general sense.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things I love about our show is we jump into the relationship after time has passed. So
I thought that was really fascinating.
You missed the whole they've had their first kiss, I guess, but the kind of more heated beginnings of relationship, and which we've seen over and over and over again, and you enter into a time when they're both hitting rough patches, which is where drama resides, and so you get to drop in with them and see how this couple handles it, if they can handle it, what it takes for them to get through it. So that's kind of where they're at. It's an exciting time, and it's also a terrifying time for both of them.
And it's interesting because, of course, they handle things so differently.
Yes.
So the way he sometimes deals with situations is unique.
Yeah.
Are we going to get a lot of that this season?
But it's funny because they kind of flip-flop. Because Joanna's dealing with this case from a very emotional perspective. Which she never does. And Billy is like, what are you doing? We can't do this. This is not practical. We need to make money. We need to keep our company afloat. And she's like, this is what we're doing. I owe this person a favor and we're doing it. I don't care. So they kind of switch places, which is fun for us to play and I think for the audience to see.
And last question is, what can you tease about where things are going to head?
Yeah.
I mean, what's down the road?
There's a bunch of stuff in the season that's really fun. So there's the stuff with Joanna and Billy, and there's a massive transition in their relationship that is very emotional, and they're more connected than they've ever been before. So the things that happen in their respective lives and together are really, really intense and emotional. So there's that. And the case itself is exciting. There's a mystery to it. It isn't what it seems. And also the history between Joanna and Cody is haunting and gives you another layer to Joanna's character that will kind of fill in some of the gaps that were present but never really answered before.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. You.